Subbuteo. Table football, call it what you will. As kids, it's a game so many of us use to live out our dreams. But it's a game that earlier this year was set to be no more. Manufacturer Hasbro announced that in the face of increased competition from football-related computer games, it intended to stop production of Subbuteo. It was a decision that shocked representatives of Subbuteo's governing body.
We were disappointed that they were going to remove it from the shop shelves after 50 years. That was the biggest disappointment, that they didn't want anything to do with it, and we were frightened we'd lose a lot of players that are playing it and also prospective players.
Hasbro's decision caused quite a stir. Indeed, so inundated were they with pleas for a stay of execution, the company decided that production would indeed continue. Relief for Subbuteo's finger-flicking fans, including the competitors who descended on the Austrian capital Vienna recently for the 4th World Championships. There to compete in 5 different categories were 250 table footballers from 19 nations. They included England's team captain Phil Redmond, who kindly agreed to take Football Mundial through the finer points of the game.
One of the first things you've got to learn in Servizio is how to flick your players correctly. The correct way of doing it is to use your fingernail on either your index finger or your middle finger and give it a clean flick across the pitch, like that. At this level of Servizio, it's important to retain possession of the ball. So for every flick that the attacker has, the defender has a blocking flick where you can get in the way of the ball. So it's important to keep things tight. When you're in the shooting area and you need to chip it over opposing players into the goal to make it more difficult for the keeper, you dip your finger under the base of the player and follow through.
Sadly for Redmond, he and the rest of the English team were unlikely to challenge for honours. Italy, Austria, Belgium, Greece and Portugal are the traditional superpowers of the world game, and the Italians even arrived with a coach.
I was asked to coach the team because we needed someone to decide who should represent Italy at a major tournament such as this. You have to realise we have so many great players, it's difficult to decide on a final lineup.
Judging by the performance of the Italians once they took to the tables in the men's competition, Gagliazzi had got his selection policy just about right. Indeed, all 5 of his charges made it through to the last 16. Another player still flicking at that stage was Christophe Fouzeau, who needed a penalty shootout in his second-round match to get past Spain's Alfredo Martinez Laporta. Meanwhile, Delphine Jedonnet was making light work of her opposition in the women's competition. The Belgian, who more than holds her own against many of the world's leading men, was a class apart. Jedonnet helped herself to 24 goals in her 6 matches to wrap up the world title with ease. Back in the men's competition, Gilles Delone was threatening to make it a Belgian double. Having finished second in his group, the world number 2 went on to defeat a Greek and a couple of his compatriots to earn himself a place alongside 3 Italians in the last 4. Time to check out the opposition and prepare for the challenge that lay ahead.
I'm going to work on both the tactical and technical aspects of my game. From a technical point of view, I'll practice ball control and shooting. As for tactics, I'll try to imagine and prepare for the different situations that could arise during the game.
Sadly for Delone, his technical and tactical expertise was not enough, and Stefano Di Francesco defeated him 2-1. Delight for the Italian, but obvious despair for the '98 champion. Careful with those fingers, Gilles. Di Francesco's reward was a place in the final, the stage of a tournament when tempers can become frayed. Yes, Subbuteo can be a controversial game.
There's been no scandals. We had trouble with a couple of guys fighting over a match, and we had to ban one of them because it came to blows and he hit the other guy. But that's the closest we've got.
Thankfully, Di Francesco and Massimo Bolognino kept their fists to themselves. preferring to let their fingernails do the talking. And it was Bolognino who was the sharper in the first half, taking the lead with a shot from close range. Back came Di Francesco, but an equaliser continued to elude him. 2-0 to the good, Bolognino put the game out of reach with a clinical flick of the finger. Di Francesco pulled the goal back, but it was too little too late, and Bolognino held on for the victory. With his players unwilling to talk, it was left to the man with the magic finger to face the world's media.
I'm delighted because last year I became European champion. Now, just 12 months later, I've gone and done the double. Without taking anything away from my opponents, I think it's fair to say that I'm the best.
But the Italians didn't have it all their own way. Belgium won the team title, and in the veterans competition, Austria's Horst Daimel got the better of Massimo Conti thanks to this golden goal. Only a game? You wouldn't think so judging by these reactions. Still, not to worry, Massimo. There's always next year.